Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles. I want to welcome you guys to the conversation. So obviously, you see I'm in quarantine, but we still got to get these videos out. So today the question is, will the Clippers be the next NBA dynasty?
Now, before we get into the content, I want you guys to go ahead and hit the like button. We're trying to get the 500 likes for every single video we upload. So please, guys, don't forget to hit the like button because it's going to help the YouTube algorithm boost these videos and get a lot of people to see them. So really appreciate that. Now back to the content.
First of all, before we go any further, we have to first define what a dynasty is. For me, a dynasty is a team that has managed to win at least three championships under a given period of time. For example, the most recent dynasty that one can think of is the Golden State Warriors. The Golden State Warriors went to 5 straight NBA championships. And out of those 5 championships, they were able to win 3 NBA titles. And another thing that makes it a dynasty is all of the characters, all of the personalities that played a role in sort of establishing that dynasty. If we look at the Golden State Warriors, there's so many notable names like Stephen Curry. Another one is Klay Thompson. Another one is Draymond Green. Then they had the run with Kevin Durant, who came on board, and he ended up becoming a 2-time Finals MVP. But they were able to maintain a level of excellence for a sustained period of time. Another dynasty that we all know is maybe the Shaq and Kobe Lakers. That team went to the finals 4 times and they won 3 times. The 4th time they lost to the Detroit Pistons in 5 games. But for the first 3 years, they won back to back to back, and they three-peated. If a team can three-peat, I'm sorry, that is a dynasty. Another dynasty that we can probably think of is the San Antonio Spurs, who were able to win so many championships over a period of time. So to me, that's what a dynasty is. Now, looking forward at the Clippers, the question is, can they be a dynasty? Well, for us to answer that question, we have to go and look at all of the components that describe a dynasty. For example, let's look at the Chicago Bulls, who were able to win 6 championships out of 8 years. And there's a good argument that some say that the Chicago Bulls could have probably won 8 straight championships had Michael Jordan not walked away from the game. And the second year that he came back, he was rounding into form. So the Chicago Bulls were able to win 6 championships with 2 three-peat efforts. But it wasn't just the players on the court and the talent that they had. The first three-peat that they had, in order for them to be able to get over the hump, you have to look at coaching. They needed a championship coach. Now, at the time with the Chicago Bulls, they actually had Phil Jackson, who was on this coaching staff, but he was not the head coach of the team. The moment they made that switch and made him the head coach of the Chicago Bulls, then they were able to have some success. So coaching plays a major part in becoming a dynasty team in the NBA. The second thing we have to look at is upper management. The Chicago Bulls, whatever you may think about their management, if you're able to have an organization that you're able to go to the finals 6 out of 8 years, that means you have some people at the top that understand what they're doing, which brings me back to the Los Angeles Clippers. Now, granted, it's fair to say that the Clippers have not won any championships at this point, but we're just making a projection into the future. Hence the question, will the Clippers be the next NBA dynasty? So let's look at this from the top down. The first thing we have to look at is ownership. The Clippers currently have the most enthusiastic and richest owner in the NBA in Steve Ballmer, who's worth well over $50 billion. Now, Steve Ballmer is a legitimate basketball fan. He loves basketball, which is really important because that means that when you have an owner that loves the sport, that really wants to succeed, chances are he's going to be willing to do anything. And in this case, he's going to be willing to spend his money on the organization and make sure he gets the best possible people to fill out all of the key roles in his organization. One of the issues that LeBron James had, I believe, during his time with the Cleveland Cavaliers, I think during his second run, was that the owner was a little bit too frugal, but LeBron was able to put pressure on them to say, hey, listen, if you want to capitalize on this championship window, you have to be willing to spend money to go and get the talent, to go and get the right coaching staff, get the right, training staff, the right medical team on board to make sure that we give ourselves the best possible chance to do that. Steve Ballmer is not someone that needs to be convinced about this. I think he understands and he studied the formula of dynastic teams in the NBA and has seen that all of these things need to be in place. That is the reason why he went out there and got Jerry West, who is by far the greatest general manager in the history of basketball, to be a consultant to the team. Now you already have an owner who has the deepest pockets in the NBA, number one. Number two, he's gone out to get the best consultant, best general manager in the history of the NBA. Then he went out and got a championship coach in Doc Rivers. Now, for some of you guys in the comment section that may think Doc Rivers is not as good as he's cracked up to be, Doc Rivers was the one who was able to coach and manage some of the most difficult combination of players in NBA history and coach that team to an NBA championship within the first season of having them with the Boston Celtics Big Three with Ray Allen, Rajon Rondo, who we all know has had a reputation around the league of being a hardhead. Then we have Paul Pierce, and then we have Kevin Garnett and Kendrick Perkins, and making this entire dynamic work, getting all of them to mesh together and manage those personalities and put people in the right position to excel and establish roles. Like Kevin Garnett was the captain on defense, Paul Pierce was the captain on offense, where players understood their roles perfectly. Doc Rivers was at the heart of that, and he was able to coach that team. So you have Doc Rivers, who is a great team manager, but also knows how to manage personalities. If we take it a step further down, we now have to look at players. Looking at the Los Angeles Clippers, they got a pretty solid roster, but the most important thing is that they have championship experience. They may not have it all around the team, but they have it at the most important position, which is the best player. The best player on the Los Angeles Clippers, Kawhi Leonard, who this season is averaging about 27 points a game, getting you about 7 rebounds a game and just over 5 assists, shooting about 47% from the field and 38% from the three-point line and 37% from the three-point line and 88% from the free throw line, and getting you about 1.8 steals a game, is the most decorated player. He is the one that has won multiple finals MVPs. He's won multiple defensive MVPs, defensive player of the year. He's actually led the league in steals, and that's the person you have leading your charge. It is quite different than what the Houston Rockets have, a person in James Harden who has never won an NBA championship and saying, take us there. He's never been there, and that's the reason why you've seen the Rockets have so many meltdowns, because the person at the top has not even won an NBA championship. So if we look at the Clippers, they have experience on the ownership level, on a management level, on a coaching level, and on a player level. The coach and the player have won championships, so they understand what it takes to win a championship. Kawhi Leonard is fresh off a championship. It's not like as if he won a championship 5 years ago. And this is the essential nucleus of the team. Now, this season, last time we checked on the games, the Clippers are currently the number 2 seed in the Western Conference with a 44-20 record behind the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, some of you may say, well, if they're supposed to be this championship, this dynastic team, how come they're not even the number 1 team in their conference? All of you guys know that it's not always the number 1 seed in the conference that wins the championship. All of you guys are well aware of that. It's the team that plays the best when it counts the most in the playoffs that wins the championship. And if you guys don't believe me, go back a number of years back when the Dallas Mavericks, as the number 1 seed in the Western Conference, was beaten by then the Golden State Warriors team led by Baron Davis and Steven Jackson, who were the number 8 seed and knocked them off, and they were able to come back the next year and beat the Miami Heat. So it has nothing to do with your regular season position. When you go into the playoffs, every team goes back to 0, and every championship team has shown the ability to win games on the road. So for that, all of those things being said, and all of the things that the Clippers currently have in place, and with this philosophy of understanding how to manage their players, how to manage their minutes, manage their bodies, I think that the Clippers have everything that it takes to be the next dynasty in the NBA. If you want to look at the Lakers, the only problem with the Lakers is that LeBron James, their best player, is 35 years old, so he's not getting any younger. If he was 30 years old, then an argument can be made, but he's a little bit older, so he may not have that many prime years in his body left. But if you look at the Eastern Conference, you have a lot of unproven teams with the exception of the Raptors, who won a championship, but that came also largely in part by the presence of Kawhi Leonard. So if I look around the NBA landscape, the only other threat I can see is the Golden State Warriors, who they are the most recent dynasty in the NBA. But moving forward, I think that the Clippers will be the next dynasty in the NBA. So what I want to know from you guys is, do you agree with me that the Clippers will be the next dynasty, or do you think it's going to be another team? Whatever you guys think, please let me know your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Again, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. And don't forget to check out the Dreamerspro Podcast. We're on Spotify and iTunes. The link is in the description below. Once again, this is Charles here from Dreamerspro. Wishing you guys an amazing day and stay safe. Peace.